There's a lot of pivots in life, a lot of things that change that you either have control of or don't have control of. And there's also these little saboteurs that are stopping you from doing things or just being a block. So let's learn some more about those things.
Building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Hey, Giant Builders. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And today's guest is Laura Aziz. Hi, Laura. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Lori.
Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Of course, I'm Laura Aziz and I live in Chicago, Illinois. And I came to the United States 30 years ago, originally from Cairo, Egypt, the land of the pharaohs.
Oh, I've never met anybody from Egypt. That's really
Okay.
cool.
Here you go. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I like to say, that the pyramids, the Sphinx, but
Mhm.
also, where women were judges, queens, and priests from the dawn of civilization. I worked in health information technology as a consultant for 20 years and pivoted to the beginning of the pandemic to coaching and executive coaching. My educational background is in health. I had my PhD in public health and I had a master's in education for healthcare professionals. So I've started my career in healthcare and then kind of evolved. So that's the heart of my business in coaching is to help people evolve,
Mm.
get to the next thing in their lives and pivot, transition with ease and flow, like without incurring more challenges or more or overwhelm.
So is there like a point that is there something in a person's mind that says, I think I need to change?
That's a very good point. Some people experience that. Like they feel like, okay, I've been doing this for the last 10 years, 20 years, and I feel the need to change, or I'm getting bored, or I feel I'm not growing, like stagnating. So sometimes it's a voice inside that starts saying you have to look for something else. Sometimes something else attracts you, like I want that. And then sometimes it happens to you, like in cases of layoffs,
Oh, okay.
right? It happens. Mergers, acquisitions, when you're very uncomfortable with the new situation. And sometimes you end up in a great company that maybe want to keep you, but you cannot take your boss or your colleagues. And I learned about that in coaching. Like I always knew that the relationship with the boss has always been kind of a struggle in many ways. Like I never felt like I had a great relationship with a boss. But with the peers, it's a different dynamic. And I had in my coaching practice now that's been around for 5 years, had people had real problems with their peers that made their life miserable. And it kind of, okay, like how long can you tolerate a situation like that, and how can you get out of it or make it work for you? That's kind of a big thing that can drive change, the desire to change.
Yeah, I guess it is sometimes hard to work with certain people. I mean, sometimes there's jealousy or just somebody's just too dominating in a group.
Yeah. I had a couple, at least couple that come to mind now. One from a very big company, like one of the top companies, and she had a colleague, a peer, who fabricated information all the time, like would not give
Oh.
her, like she would have to give her some information that she needs to help her team to
Hmm.
make a presentation, and she would claim in meetings that she did give her the information.
Mm.
And my client, the person who I was working with, never received that information.
Mm.
And it's like, where do you go from here? If somebody's lying or fabricating information,
Yeah.
where do you go from here?
Yeah, that would be really hard. So
So
like,
that's one case. The other case is people who kind of speak in your back, like gossiping
uh,
or doing like trial balloons behind your back on
Yeah.
false information or exaggerating. So it's real. I mean, people, we like to assume that everybody is transparent and truthful and honest, but the reality is that's not the case all the time.
No. So what are some steps that one would make towards a transition in their life or their career?
Yeah, great question. The first step, and I've been kind of in my mind walking the steps, for me and when I talk with my clients. But the first step is clarity, to get clarity of what you want. Because if there is no clarity, you will find yourself like jumping from one thing to the other and not achieving or reaching a place where you feel whole, feel happy, feel fulfilled. So the best thing is to write down, like, best like take time in the morning and kind of get a brain dump. What are you thinking about? What's overtaking your life? In getting also in tuned with what you like. Sometimes people use passion and people kind of feel passion is too big, and or I'm not passionate about anything. But you can tell what you like from things that grab your attention, like book titles that stop you, and you want to get this book,
Mm.
or YouTube videos that you like to watch. That will give you a good insight on what really attracts your attention. And then you want to ask yourself the question, like, is this something that can earn me income? Like, is it just a passion? Like, I love music, or I love, producing movies, but is it something I can generate income from, and can provide for me and my family? And that exercise, kind of understanding what you want, what you like, what makes you happy, what people are willing to pay you for, is the beginning of getting clarity. There is a famous model, I don't know if you heard of it. It's a Japanese framework called Ikigai. Have you heard of
I
Ikigai?
think I have heard of that.
Yeah. I think people say it Ikigai, some say it Ikigay. It's kind of spelled in a different,
Uh-huh.
hard to kind of ascertain the best way to pronounce it. But it is a beautiful model of different circles with the reflection questions
Okay.
where you can start asking yourself, going deeper into, okay, what do I really like to do? What do I
Mhm.
love? What overtakes? Where would I feel flow? Like if I'm doing that, I don't feel time. Like time passes like a river. I'm not getting bored, or my brain is hijacked in different ways. And then it's like, can this be a job, or can I start a business with it? Like, is can this transfer to a business? And does anybody on the market needs it? Like, is there a need for something like that? And then can somebody pay me for it, or pay me handsomely, like if I want to create an income or replace my current income? And that exercise, I use it a lot in my coaching practice when people are either not clear on what they want,
Mhm.
or have the urge to change but are afraid, like. And so it's available publicly. Like if people would Google that name, they will find it on
Okay.
Google. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can find everything on Google, right?
Yeah, I mean, some is proprietary content, like you cannot
Yeah.
get all the information, but this one is available in the public domain.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, going back to our beginning of our conversation with the bosses and the employees and things. So, like, I'm thinking back to that and like, well, how can we set boundaries that protect our time and our energy? Because those kinds of things are kind of draining.
Yes, and it depends, I would say. So for a long time when I was working in consulting, I managed big projects
Mm.
and I loved it. And I worked long hours. But I never complained. Even if I was exhausted, I never complained. I felt like I was getting the reward system, was coming from achieving something. In projects are different than operations. In there is an end date, like that's
Mhm.
part of the definition of a project, start date and end date. And having that end date was a motivation for me, like, okay, I have this deadline. I'm working towards that deadline, and I would backward plan from that. if this needs to be done at the end of June, what do I need to have at the end of May, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And that, so sometimes you work hard, or you allow the boundaries to be to elastic a little bit to achieve something.
Mm.
When we really got upset and we have to change that and set very clear boundaries is when we feel like somebody's forcing us. Somebody is asking us to do much more than what we are willing to do or what we feel we are paid to do. So that's, I think, the first piece of being clear on what you're doing and why. And then negotiating with yourself what you're willing to kind of say or risk, and having the one-on-one conversation with the boss and the team to find a rhythm. So communication is the best thing we can do to resolve conflict,
Mm.
like speaking wisely, choosing words wisely, not when you're angry. I mean, that's another kind of piece is you want to, because sometimes we wait so much, especially pleasers, people who like to please others and say
Mhm.
yes to everything
Yeah.
and then get very upset and it becomes an emotional situation that's harder to handle. But the key thing is to come at it from with calm, with clarity, and have the conversation. Prior to that, there is one thing that I had noticed even before consulting when I was working for a regular company. I worked in IT for a few years, and I would see some people, some of my colleagues, would spend too much time trying to fix a lower level problem.
Mm.
So, kind of understanding the priorities, the risk factors, to help you be in command, like be the CEO, I like, of your day, be the CEO of your life, by using good judgment of what is taking your time. Why are you staying late? Like, why are you going above and beyond? So, these are kind of foundational research to start setting boundaries. If you reach the point that things have to stop, I like to call it how to say no nicely.
Okay.
Like some saying no, just no is sometimes hits people the wrong way, rub them the wrong
Yeah.
way. So how can you say so? An example that I like to use is people who say in companies or when people are working in the same location and they want to go out for a Friday night kind of outing or want to meet on the weekend. And some people feel like that's too exhausting. It's Friday. I just want to go home
Yeah.
and sit on my sofa and do nothing, just watch TV or just do nothing.
Hmm.
And that's where saying no nicely is like the phrase that I'd like to use is I'd love to. I'd love to. But today I can't.
Okay.
Maybe next time. Like keep me on the plan, keep me on your contact list for
Uh-huh.
next time. So that would not kind of affect people or like make people kind of say like you don't like to be with them or
Hmm.
and I these are actual cases. Like I believe in that personally, I do that, but I had clients who would say on the weekend I'm so tired, I just want to stay home and do nothing, but people call me for lunch and dinner and stuff like that, and I end up getting more exhausted on the weekend. So it's like, okay, like think of be the CEO of your life, like take command of your weekends. You don't have to say yes to every invitation, to every birthday party, to every get together. So that's I think the framework that I like to use myself and empower my clients to leverage.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. Say no nicely. Okay.
Nice.
Got it. All right. All right. So, how can you have a happy life and overcome saboteurs?
Ah, wow, that's beautiful. So I have a tool called the saboteur assessment. It
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I did not develop the tool. I subscribed to it. It was developed by a guy called Rzad Shamin. I'm a member in his team. The assessment itself is free. He was very kind to allow allow all the people in his network to use it, and so I send it to my clients. And based on his research, there are all of us. across humanity
Mm.
have a big judge inside us. So
Okay.
we all have the judge saboteur. We judge ourselves. Oh, I
I'm,
don't look good. My hair doesn't look
yeah,
good. I'm overweight. I'm whatever. We are always judging ourselves.
I'm
And
with
when we
that one.
judge, all of
I
us,
know
right?
that one.
Yeah, I experience it every day.
Yeah.
And then the strategy is obviously like how to overcome it.
Hmm.
But all of us has the judge in us. We judge ourselves and judge others. In some people, it's more accentuated than others, stronger. The voice is stronger. And then it's like, how can we let the judge calm down a little bit? But then there are nine other
Oh,
saboteurs, yeah, that are different, like depending on our personality, our work styles, behavior styles. Some of the very popular ones, and one that's very popular in women is pleaser. They have
okay.
a
Yeah.
pleaser saboteur, which goes to setting boundaries. It's kind of one of the precursors of losing the boundaries by you want to make sure everybody's happy. So you say yes to everyone in the office. And then you go back home and you want to make sure everybody at home is happy. So you say yes to everyone at home.
Mhm.
On weekends, you're saying yes, to your friends, going out. And then all of a sudden, you're like on the verge of burnout because
Yeah.
you've just been overextending yourself. So that's kind of a big one, and obviously there is a system, a mechanism to how to get recover from that.
Hmm.
Kind of, at least the self-awareness piece, kind of identifying if you're doing these behaviors, or if you do the assessment and you come very high on the pleaser, then it's like, okay, this needs to stop. And that's the realization that people tend to have ideally before burnout. Like, you want to recognize the symptoms, because once, if one hits burnout, it takes longer. Burnout is a complex, I would say, state, and it takes longer to recover from burnout. But if you detect that you're saying yes to everything that cross, I had a guy, actually, and it's not a woman here, who would say yes to every request that came to him by email to assess or get his input on something. He would say yes, and then couldn't meet the deadline, the time that was required, because he just said yes. And I said, okay, let me ask you, why are you saying yes without reading first, assessing? So the first yes is like, yes, I received it, not yes, I will do it.
Oh,
So we started changing that. That was a real case. A very smart guy, actually, an attorney, who people were sent him things to read and give them input.
yeah.
And he would say yes and then get all worked up because he just didn't have the time to do all these things that he said yes to.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you to say yes and commit to a timeline when you don't even know the scope of the work? Like, is it going to take 2 hours? Is it going to take the whole day? Like, so that's kind of one thing, is to allow ourselves to stop and assess before committing.
Hmm.
And when he started applying that, it made a big difference. So he would either say, thank you, I received it, I will read it and let you know how much time it will take.
Okay.
But not to just say a carte blanche, we go like just yes, like no. We need to assess. And based on the assessment, I can tell you if I need a day or I need a week. I need to do some research on that. Is it something that is new that I need to collect more information about? So that's kind of the empowerment piece of not just saying yes to anything. You can still be nice to people by saying yes, but frame it. Yes, I will do it, but I'm not sure yet how long it will take. I will get back to you.
So not everybody has all of the saboteurs.
Not everybody. So we
Okay.
usually, when I work with a client and we do the assessment, we pick the top three. This is when
Okay.
you do the assessment, it gives you a score.
Hmm.
So we pick the top three, like in this, usually they are scoring over 7, like 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
We work with this top three. If you manage and fix the top three, the rest, life will be very different, I have to tell
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it just the fact of being aware that saboteur is really important so that you know how to handle it?
Yeah, so it is part of self-awareness, like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I see. That's what I'm doing. That's what's happening here.
Uh-huh.
As an example, like it has there is two words. The word we use in the saboteur assessment is controller. Somebody who have a controller personality to
Okay.
control everything. As a boss, nothing is going to leave my department unless I read and approve. So every email my team is writing, I need to be CC'd on it. It needs to come to me first. I'll read, approve, and then I'll tell you to send it.
Hmm.
Well, guess what? Like you will have a backlog.
Take a long time. Nothing's going to
Yeah.
get sent out.
Many people will be upset because their work is not getting done because
Right.
it's your inbox is full of emails that need to be approved first. So that's kind of we call it perfectionism, like someone who doesn't want to take any risk of something misspelled here or something that was not the right words were not chosen, stuff like that.
I'm not a perfectionist.
You're amazing.
I did marry one.
Ah, yeah. It is a challenge. So I have a perfectionist tendency, I call it. So that's one way when we do the coaching around it, is not to say I am a perfectionist. You don't want to label yourself because
Uh-huh.
then it's stuck, you cannot remove it. But you
Okay.
can say I have a tendency to be.
Oh, okay.
And then once you raise your awareness, it's like, okay, when enough is enough, so like when I write an email going to say a senior person or first time, I like to read it like 10 times, to make sure that everything looks okay. Maybe I can talk myself to read it only 2 or 3 times instead of,
Hmm.
10 times. Kind of
Yeah.
kind of allowing yourself to ease it a little bit. So
Uh-huh.
life is not like you want to think of the end game, like the outcome. So if I am going to take so much time on everything, I will have a bigger backlog. I will be behind. My clients or my team members will be upset, and so on and so forth. So let's reorient. We do that with self-compassion. So part of the coaching program with saboteurs is to raise the self-compassion element, like
Hmm.
having empathy towards oneself and others. Because once you start accepting that we are all human beings, we all have, something that's not necessarily perfect,
Yeah.
it becomes easier to face ourselves and to then let things go, like lighten the weight a little bit, let things be easy, use ease and flow in our days and our activities. So that's part of it. The other part is building resilience, like being strong inside so you're not hijacked by everything that doesn't meet your expectations.
Yeah.
And that allows you to kind of calm down, think logically, be emotionally balanced, so you can, kind of face the saboteurs and say, no, I don't need to be like that all the time, or I
Yeah.
don't need to be at 100%, maybe I can take it down to 70%.
Hmm.
It's a great program for anyone who struggles with saboteurs.
Hmm.
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn or anywhere. I'll send it to them. It's free, so
Uh-huh.
it's an easy tool to create that awareness, and then we can create a strategy on how to handle it.
Okay. And I'll have your links below. So I think
Yeah,
your email is one of those. So we'll share that
yeah,
as well. So
absolutely.
what does a first meeting look like with you? What would somebody expect as they were meeting with you for the first time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Nobody had asked me about that before. But the first meeting is usually, I call it a chemistry meeting. Like you really need to like your coach. It's because you're with them one on one. Even if it's a group coaching, you're still with them. They are leading the discussion, leading where they will ask you difficult questions or detailed questions because they want to get to the underlying, arguments or underlying thoughts, assumptions. So you need to have that chemistry. So the first meeting is usually, I would say, on the scale of easy to difficult is very easy because we're trying to understand each other,
Hmm.
understanding where the problem is, what the person perceive as something they want to change in their lives. So that's kind of foundational. We all have aspirations. Sometimes we're able to articulate it, sometimes not. We are not always clear on our thinking. So that's the first meeting. Then from there, we decide what would be a good assessment. Like I have few assessments. We talked about the saboteur. There are few depending on where they are and what the issue is. We do one or two to understand their base personality style, things they like or not like. And then we start building a plan to overcome that. So what are the goals? Okay, we know the problem. We know what bothers you, what you want to change in your life. So what is the goal? What would be a successful outcome? Like what do they want to achieve at the end of a coaching engagement, be it 2 months, 3 months, more, longer, there are longer engagements. What is the definition of success is very important because you can get lost in the details, but you have to have clarity on where you're going. I want to show you this here. I use it a lot with my clients at the beginning. So coaching is like a bridge.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah. And we help our clients get from point A to point B, from where they are now to where they want to be.
Oh, that's really good.
And the coach is like a guide, we don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers, but we're a guide. We ask questions, we provide content, solutions, ideas, but it's up to the client. The client has 100% agency to choose what is right for them.
Yeah. Okay. So you were starting I think you called it a mastermind. What's your
Yes.
vision for that?
Yeah. So my goal is to at least once a quarter have a mastermind slash workshop, and mastermind has so many meanings. I know there is the big, mastermind club, if you will, where you get all these great speakers and authors and professors, talking about their books. So in my case, I wanted to be more of hands-on,
Mm-hmm.
practical time to do things like one tool. We can do like the saboteur assessment, for example, or a 90 days plan. If you want to have a turnaround in your life, you want to introduce a new thing or start a new business, we do the first 90 days. And then we plan it, like what are the goals, what are the priorities, what are the activities that need to happen, and then what are the milestones that we need to achieve to make sure like we're hitting the mark and we can move to the next phase.
Okay.
So that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have 25 people, maybe not more. More than that might be a little hard to do a hands-on life experience. But I'd like to start with at least that, have about 25 people and do something that would enrich their lives. They would leave with a clear idea of an issue that they have and how it can be resolved. And
Mm-hmm.
that would give them an idea of what it feels like working with me.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's
I so
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the call to action would be in that mastermind slash workshop is to speak with me, kind of a free strategy call.
Mm-hmm.
And in that call, we can determine if it's a good mix, good decision for them, good choice to work with me for 6 weeks, 12 weeks to move from point A to point B, get on the bridge.
Great. All right. Well, we'll
Right?
have links to that information below too.
Mm.
So,
Yes.
any closing thoughts?
The closing thoughts is to always empower oneself to believe that we can do it. Like sometimes life is hard and it pushes in different directions, but to always come back and anchor on our personal strength
Yeah.
and the gifts we have.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for sharing. That was a lot of information. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I
And
enjoyed speaking with you.
well, thank you. So, Giant Builders, check out all of her information below. Maybe you can join a mastermind or just give her check out the saboteur assessment and find
Mhm.
out what's dominating your mindset.
Yes,
But,
absolutely.
take a chance and have a conversation with Laura and see where you guys can work together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time. And Giant Builders, we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.